Welcome back, Breezy. Thank you for your patience. Ooh, it has been quite an August, but I'm so happy to be back on the mic for this podcast. It feels so homey and cozy, so here we go.
I got an excess of black bile, high irascibility, contemplating checking myself into facility, mental ability clearly affected,
Deep in the dumps, down and dejected.
I've been in low power mode. In low power mode. Been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear. I've been in low. I've been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear.
So, took me a while to start listening to something besides Beyonce's Renaissance, but fortunately, the incredible superhero of rap, Megan Thee Stallion, has dropped a new album, and we're gonna talk about it, so here we go. Music. All right, so I want to give you a heads up. I'm on a really squeaky chair. I'm on my third living situation this summer. We kind of had an unexpected, weird housing situation. So yeah, but I'm still recording this podcast no matter where I am. And that's what's cool about it. I can do it from wherever. But if you hear weird noises and stuff, I'm not in my controlled environment. So keep that in mind. All right, music. Megan Thee Stallion dropped a new album called Traumazine. And she described the name Traumazine as like a chemical in your brain that makes you like relive your trauma, something like this. So we know that Megan is really coming to terms with some things, and that's what this album is about. What's very interesting to me is what's going on with her and her label, because I know how often it is that Black women get taken advantage of in their contracts. We have seen this kind of recently with Khalees and this issue of crediting on Beyonce's album, and it kind of going back to a bad contract she signed when she was really young. And with Megan Thee Stallion, we've seen it with so many people. TLC is a quite famous example, but we've seen it with Megan Thee Stallion. She's signed with the label. There's 1501 and 300 Entertainment, which are kind of linked. So she signed with them in 2018, and I think within 1 year, the relationship got contentious because she had signed into a situation that wasn't safe. These people, Jay Prince and Carl Crawford, kind of running the show over there, were just trying to make money off of her. It's really clear. I'll put this article in the show notes, but it's really clear in reading up on the details of the situation that these guys don't care about this Black woman. They don't care about her. They care about making money, and they're victimizing themselves in an effort to, as an independent label, in an effort to go up against this young, talented, pretty, gorgeous, empowered Black woman. They don't know what to do with themselves, and it's not just about that. It's really like it's there's so many factors, right? Like, also within the year of signing to 1501 and 300 Entertainment, her mother passed, and I think her mother went by Hollywood. So Hollywood was her manager, her momager, as me and my mom joke. So that was a huge loss. Can you imagine? She's been working at this with her mom for, let's say, like let's say a decade or two. And then she finally gets to a point, okay, I want to sign with a label. I'm ready. Her mother passes, her grandmother passes shortly after that. It's got to be overwhelming, but you know that a lot of these guys aren't out here for her to protect her. So what ended up happening was she and her, like, the operations manager at 1501 and 300, his name is T Ferris, I think, and Megan Thee Stallion and him went to sign a deal with Rock Nation. So she's being like phased out of this situation, and what's been really crazy about the situation is that they, in trying to exhibit control over her, they've been, preventing her from being able to release music. So when she had an EP that she wanted to drop, Sugar, for instance, they were saying, no, you can't drop it. You can't drop it. We're not going to let you drop it. And something else that was really interesting was that she dropped this like project called something for the hotties, and she wanted it to be an album, but they wouldn't allow it to be qualified as an album. You know, generally artists sign record contracts where they have to complete a certain amount of albums with the record company before they're free to do whatever they want. And so by them saying, okay, this project that you dropped isn't an album, they're holding her there. And they're also claiming that she's not making them any money, which is absurd. And her deal is really shitty too. Like, not only is there like this 60-40 split where she gets 40% of all these different types of rights and royalties, but on top of that, that's after the labels and the like all the other background people get their cut. So she's really coming out with something like 25%. She said she hasn't made more than like 15,000 over the past few years, which is insane. But I think about other projects that Megan has done and worked on, other performances that wouldn't have the label be getting a cut necessarily or be made money from those things. So it's not to say Megan is poor. It's saying her label is screwing her big time. And wow, it's horrendous to read about, because we already know this young woman got shot in the foot by another rapper, and already that was like a whole, it's just insane. So I wanted to lay that down, because I think you can't just see Megan for her success. You have to see her for what she's been able to get through. We're talking death, we're talking getting shot, we're talking like in rehab, physical rehab. We're talking this horrendous deal with her label. And on her album Traumazine, she talks so much about not being able to trust the people around her, and searching after her mother died for people who really cared about her. And she really didn't find it. Like, it's kind of clear from the album that she keeps a very close, tight, small circle these days. And I'm happy for her. I think that there have been many, many Black women in the industry who have been pushed to the edges where she's been and have fallen off. And I think that she is hanging on, and she's healing. Oh my God, this project is so good. It's one thing for there to be a female rapper, a femme rapper, Black femme rapper who is killing it, okay? It's one thing for that to be a thing. But it is another thing for them to be so honest and vulnerable. This is what I loved about Kendrick's latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and this is what I love about Traumazine. I feel like we're coming into an era, we're coming into a space where we have no other option but to heal, or else it's just more pain, pain, pain. And I think that in the music industry, mental health is becoming a bigger issue. Not an issue, a bigger a bigger thing to pay attention to. And so I'm just, even though the album has some songs or some collaborations where I'm like, ugh, like there's a song with Future, Pressure, I think it's called Pressurelicious, 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 Pressurelicious. That's so hard to say. Try to say that. Another thing Megan should get props for. But she has this track with Future, and I'm like, can he just stay off all the tracks that I listen to? But it's still good. It's still, her parts are also always so empowered. And there's two songs on the album that really stand out to me. The first one in the order is Not Nice. It's just called Not Nice. And the chorus is like, fuck it, bitch, I'm not nice. I'm the shit. I'm done with being humble because I know that I'm that bitch. And it's like, it seems so simple and stuff. But I believe that especially femmes, women, girls, AFAB individuals, Flinta individuals, people who grow up not identifying as like cisgender man, but but specifically like more femme leaning, it's part of your job to nurture. It's part of your job to be kind. It's part of your job to make people feel comfortable. And also, Black people will code switch and know, okay, if I get too loud, then I'm going to be seen as intimidating. I'm going to be perceived as a threatening presence. And so I need to calm it down and smile and be nice. So she attacks this notion, and she says, she's like, I tried, but nice doesn't get you anywhere. And I'm not, like, she's not. She used to be, maybe, but I can really identify and really relate, because once you start going somewhere with music, people start to take advantage of you and like step. It's just a way that it works. I think in any probably form of entertainment, once you start achieving success, then you get the negative as well. And I think for her to learn this lesson so young, she's like 27 years old. So for her to be like, okay, I don't have my mother around anymore. I don't have family around. I don't really have friends around. I need to protect myself. I need to not be saying yes to people. I need to not smile. I'm not nice. Just perceive me as a bitch, And I really, really relate to that. I used to be like, oh, I just want to get through this smoothly, And then it's like, nope, you got to stand your ground at some point. So, that's my top two. That's in my top two. And then there's another track called Anxiety. Oh my God. It's so good. And I love the juxtaposition between the beat. The beat is very like kind of happy and lighthearted and major chord, major scale. But she's being really, really honest. She said in an interview that I should also link underneath the podcast in case you want to watch it. But she said that she really treated this album like a journal, and you can really feel that in this song, and it's so good. She kind of addresses her mother, and it's beautiful. But I loved it. She's like, I'm a bad bitch and I got bad anxiety. People call me rude because I ain't let them try me. Like, it's very simple what she's saying, but it's very powerful. She goes, all I really want to hear is it'll be okay. Bounce back, because a bad bitch can have bad days. Like, it's just so nice. I love it. I love when Black women show vulnerability, because it's the first thing to go to, like the first thing to go to is we are so oppressed in society that let me show them that I'm winning. Let me show them how nice my hair is and my nails are and my makeup is and you know, I got my money right and I got this and that and the other thing. But then to be honest, but then to be like, I'm stressed and let us in on that. Oh, it's so good. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about Megan Thee Stallion. I'm manifesting a collab one day, but I'm not even like, it's not out of like self, like if she wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want it. Like I want whatever Megan wants for herself. And yeah, she's one album away from this from being in the shitty toxic situation. So just, you know, you got it, Meg. You're killing it. I hope these court dates go okay for this lawsuit. I think the dates are like in late October, but we'll check back in about it. But damn, just how much more can a bitch go through? It's crazy. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for music, and let's move on to TV. Television. All right, so for TV, I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite shows. I have a very soft spot in my heart for black sitcoms, black family sitcoms, and this one takes the cake. And I only discovered it like 2 or 3 years ago in my like in my like awakening of how like white everything had been up until a certain point in my life. Long story, but we're talking about the one, the only Living Single, okay? So if you've never heard of Living Single, that's because Warner Brothers didn't want you to. They started the show in 1993, I believe, and the show Friends started 1 year after it, and basically was a copy of Living Single, except the characters were like not as esteemed, I would say. And obviously Friends became this huge, massive worldwide hit, whereas Living Single totally had the potential to be that. We had Fresh Prince. I think Fresh Prince started in 91 or something. So you have Will Smith killing it on Fresh Prince. Queen Latifah stars in Living Single. Not only does she play the character Khadijah, who has she started her own magazine, so she's like a business owner. But Queen Latifah sings the theme song, and it's cool because she started her own label, the Flavor Unit, and her magazine in the show is called Flavor Magazine. So it's great. We have Erica Alexander playing the character of Maxine Shaw. She has her tagline, Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. She's a high-powered lawyer, but Max is such a mess as a person. Like, she's just kind of all over the place, and she is always eating. I've never seen, these days, you like, if there's food in scenes, unless it's like really tied into the story, you don't really see people like actually eating. Back in the day, I just don't know how Erica Alexander stayed so thin throughout the role, because she is eating in so many of these scenes, and you have to film the scenes over and over again. But it's great. She breaks so many stereotypes with her character, and she's very masculine, and it's so badass. Then you have Kim Fields playing the character of Regine, which is so funny. Early on in the series, Max says, Regine, every time you open your mouth, you set sisterhood back 100 years or something like that. And, she plays this like want to get wifed up and love shopping and this sort of thing. Class. And then you have the character of Sinclair James, played by Kim Coles, and she's really kind of she's like the glue that holds everything together. She's really such a star on this TV show. Each one of them are really, like, the women are really, really, I would say, like, there's a lot of equal attention focused on many of the characters, but Sinclair is just so special and just so kind of loopy and goofy, and you can definitely tell the character of Phoebe was taken from Sinclair. But then you have the guys who live next to, or upstairs in the brownstone. It takes place in Brooklyn, in New York, and it's Overton Jones and Kyle Barker. Overton is a handyman from Ohio. Kyle's also from Ohio, but he's a stockbroker. So already you have so many stereotypes about black people broken just based off of the premise of the show. It's fantastic. And what I also really appreciate is the way that they tackle certain topics. Sometimes a sitcom will be like, okay, we're gonna dive in on like this particular issue. And I just felt like they did such a good job with some of these topics. I want to mention too, Yvette Lee Bowser. She is the executive producer behind this show. She created the show, and so you see a lot of women in director and writer roles. So it just groundbreaking for early 90s. So in season 2, there's 2 episodes. The first episode is called My Cups Runneth Over. And in this episode, the actor Kim Fields is getting breast reduction surgery. So what they did was they wrote into the script for Living Single that the character Regine gets breast reduction surgery. Something I've never seen tackled on TV outside of a reality situation. Actually, I don't really watch that stuff. So I know it exists, but I'm too scared for that sort of stuff. So yeah, and I know that this is something that like a lot of young women deal with, like just having back problems because of their like bra size or like chest size. And so it was so funny and it was so well done, and it was like you really like feel for Regine. She's kind of like attached her identity to her breasts, which a lot of women do. But you see her kind of like move away from this thing of like, oh, I am not my bra size. It seems basic, but it is so huge for these types of themes to be addressed in TV shows that like tons and tons of people are watching, because it gets normalized. You know, like if a young black woman was getting a breast reduction surgery, she could watch that episode and she could be like, oh my God, I'm not alone. That's huge. I think that's the power of TV. And so this Living Single, oh my God, and the jokes, everything is just so swaggy and so funny and like really, really, really good quality humor that isn't about put downs. Although Kyle and Max, they have this, Sam and Diane kind of relationship, but much more contentious, or like they really give it to each other, like insult wise, but it's funny because they really love each other deep down. It's a super feel good show. I can't recommend it enough. The other episode in season 2 that I was like, oh my God, this is so good, is called A Hair Raising Experience. And during the episode, Kyle, who wears, actually both Maxine and Kyle both wear their hair in dreadlocks, and Kyle has his in like short very manicured locks. So it's not like Bob Marley, like Rasta looking locks. Very, very professional. And so during the episode, he wants to, he's a stockbroker, and he's looking at Africa as a market, and he's saying, I believe that that by overlooking Africa, we're missing out on a relationship and like an economic, advantage as well. So he's making this presentation, and there's another black man who works at the company whose head is kind of like shaved close to his, he's got like a very, I don't know, like a traditional haircut. And it's this man that says something to Kyle about his hair. Essentially, it's the narrative of like, they're not going to take you seriously unless you shave your locks. And it's so well positioned. The hair conversation, because he's talking about Africa. So he's talking about a place where, like, the other black guy, the company, it would be one thing if he was talking about, well, you need to present this way to white people, but we're talking about Africa. We're talking about people who do wear natural hairstyles in professional business. In the States, we have such an issue with that. And, this was so far ahead of like the Crown Act. I don't know if you know about the Crown Act, but there's been so many cases of black people being chastised for their hair, kids in school, having teachers threatening to cut their hair, people getting sent home from work because of their hairstyles. And so this is really groundbreaking stuff, and the way that they handle it is so good. And it also shows you this nuanced thing that happens in black life, where it's like this respectability politics thing, or assimilation, where a black man, for instance, a cisgendered black man would be like, well, I need to do what I need to do in order to get that job, in order to fit in order to do whatever. Whereas you have the other side of the spectrum being like, no, I should be judged on, like King says, the content of my character, not what I look like. So it's so good. The show is so important. If I had kids, I would be like, I would make a habit of watching Living Single with them. Like, it's so great. And it's just really, like, even today, I'm thinking about TV shows and characters and stuff, and you just don't see this. I tried to watch, I think I talked about this, I tried to watch a couple black sitcoms, and like black TV shows featuring black women, and it was just so unrelatable. Whereas Living Single, there's really something for everyone, no matter what skin color you have or what gender you identify with. They make a bunch of RuPaul jokes. The cameos on this show are insane. They have all these like famous basketball players and athletes, and like Flip Wilson, and like crazy, awesome, legendary actors and actresses. Eartha Kitt, I don't know. It's so awesome. So I can highly recommend Living Single. If you're looking for a TV show to watch before bed, I can highly recommend it. All right, that's going to wrap up our TV section. I could talk so much more about Living Single, but I have to stop myself somewhere. So that's where I'm going to stop, and let's move into film. Movies. Film. All right. So, I recorded the music and the TV section of this podcast when I was still in Berlin 1 week ago. It was like Friday, the 2nd of September or something. And I thought I was going to be able to bust it out before the flight. Didn't. And then the jet lag has got me all the way fucked up. Like I keep waking up at like 2:30 a.m. um for the day, which is so weird. So yeah, more on that later, but jumping back into film, recentering after crossing the pond and the entirety of the States. I want to talk about Nope. I want to try to talk about Nope in a way that doesn't give anything away, because I think with Jordan Peele movies, part of it is going and seeing it when it comes out, but part of it is also like how it unfolds. I feel like Jordan Peele movies age with time, like they age really well. And so, yeah, so like people are on their own journeys with Nope. I got to see it, I think it was early August that I went to see Nope in the theater in Berlin. And it was during the day, and like nobody was in the theater, and it was chill. It was great. And it was really fun. Like I'm really glad that I went and saw it at the theater, because Nope is like meant to be a summer blockbuster, like a big fun kind of alien-esque movie. Um Kind of like Jaws, kind of like Jurassic Park, this type of thing. And it was really cool because you have all the element, like classic Jordan Peele. You have all the elements of these films that have been done many, many times before. But you also have like intricate kind of like racial stories going on in the background, um and yet he doesn't make it about race, quote unquote. Jordan Peele's been kind of like intentional about like not making race-based films or films about race after Get Out. So I wouldn't say that this is about race or about black people necessarily. It's about a black family story. And the cool thing about the story is that apparently in real life, the first recorded moving image was of this man who I think came from the Bahamas, this black man on a horse. And they used it to figure out like timing and stuff with motion pictures. And so as kind of like a scale. And so the family in the film is the descendants. They're the descendants of this Bahamian jockey who was like the first recorded moving image. That's kind of where the story begins. And oh man, there's so many elements, there's so many fun, kind of interesting moments. I gotta say, I left the film feeling like I didn't fully understand what I just saw. Like I knew that I was going to need to see it again, and I still haven't seen it again, but I've read a lot about it. I've read like articles and that sort of thing, and it's it's a fun one. I read some things that were like, is this Jordan Peele's best movie? No, but is it a really fun and awesome movie that kind of makes you put the puzzle pieces together? Yes, and that's what I love about his films. And it also made me kind of go back and watch some of these Steven Spielberg or what's his name, who did Clockwork Orange, Stanley Kubrick, like some of their big films, like because Nope is about this sort of spaceship entity type thing that's behaving like an animal, that they're trying to figure out how to interact with this thing, and this thing keeps like eating. Oh, I don't want to give away too much, but it's definitely feels like an alien movie without being an alien movie. And one of the character Angel, played by the actor Brandon Perea, I think his name is a fun little story about like how he was supposed to have this like side part that wasn't really integral to the film, and then the way he played it made Jordan Peele like, okay, I'm gonna write you more into the story. And so when he got the role, Jordan Peele sent him a list of movies to watch that would help inspire his acting performance. And so some of the movies were 2001 A Space Odyssey, which is Stanley Kubrick, and then Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is a Steven Spielberg movie. I think Jaws may have been on the list. And I watched all three of those as kind of like, ooh, I like what this Nope film is giving, and I want to know more about the inspiration. And so it was really cool. It was like really cool to see a movie from, because I think 2001 A Space Odyssey was from like the 60s or 70s, like super early film. So some of the things that they're able to achieve that early on in cinema is like, damn. And then Close Encounters of the Third Kind also, like, they were like the term movie magic, like that's what was going on here. Like they were creating these effects and these things that had never been done before. So that was really cool. Nope, I didn't feel like brought any sort of like crazy effects that have never been done before, like this kind of thing. It was much more about like the story, the narrative. And there's this kind of like there's the family, the brother and sister, and then there's this kind of side plot that actually opens the film, and it's about this old like 90s, or yeah, an old sitcom TV show featuring Ricky Jupe Park, this Asian kid who was a token kid among like an all-white cast, and this uh was it a chimpanzee, a gorilla, something like that. And so it was really juicy what they're bringing to the story with that whole thing. There's certain themes that are really like, wow, okay. There's themes of trauma, there's themes of tokenism, there's themes of humans generally in the movie. There's a big theme of animal behavior, and how humans relate to animals or domesticated beings, creatures, things. So yeah, that was really cool to explore. And also there's a lot of like horses and a lot of kind of things going on with horses in the film. So there's this kind of sense around animal communication that's explored. And visually, there's so many fun things in this. Once again, is it Jordan Peele's best movie? Nope. But is it super fun, and am I dying to see it again, just go through the experience and all that? Yes. And I feel like we haven't had a film like this in a while, like a big, like especially like a black person directed type of film. And so I love how Jordan Peele is like expanding into new territory constantly, and it's really cool to see. He also, I saw recently, his production company Monkey Paw Productions produced this film called Honk for Jesus Save Your Soul, and Daniel Kaluuya produced it as well. And it's like with Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown, about like like a mega church family. And yeah, it's cool to see the variety of different type of Black feature films that are available, like to go see in theaters or on streaming services. It's like Jordan Peele has his hand in 2 films that you can go see in theaters right now. I just saw something, what was it, Woman King or something like this, with Viola Davis. I just saw the trailer, so I haven't seen the film, but there's just a plethora of stuff. I remember when I first went to see Get Out, was it 2017 or something? And I saw Get Out, and then a little while later I saw Black Panther, and I was just like, this is the I've never felt this way about movies. Like with movies, it just kind of unless you're going with more like independent type of things, it's just the budgets are so big, it's so cinematic, it's so CGI, and yeah, so we finally are getting an intersection of these like big blockbuster films and Black stories. So I think that that's something that's really special about Nope. And Jordan Peele talks a lot about spectacle, about this idea of spectacle, and about and there's themes of eye contact as well, like with animals and territory. And so what we see, what we watch, what we're taking in, and how we're not like looking away from certain things. Super interesting. Just like every Jordan Peele film, you could, take a whole class to like unpack it. But yeah, I can definitely endorse Nope. Jordan Peele is still one of my favorite film directors, and can't wait to see it again. Highly recommend. Let me know if you go see it, what you think. Okay, moving on. Hey, listen, sometimes you gotta check in with yourself.
Check in with yourself.
Okay, so we're in the outro, we're in the check-in section. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I started this episode a week ago in Berlin, and I'm finishing it a week later in California. But yeah, I really, really appreciate your support, whether it's through the podcast, whether you were able to come see me perform over the summer for the tour, or just like, I don't know, any level of support. I'm just super, super appreciative of it. And also this Patreon, it means a lot to me because I love performing and sharing my music with people and stuff. But I also, I strive for more connection than just, getting up on stage for an hour and kind of, directing the energy one way. It's like I want there to be something, a safe like circle almost. And I feel like the Patreon is a really amazing way for me to experience that. So thank you so much. I hope it doesn't feel like me just talking at you, although I do hear that this podcast is really good to fall asleep to, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of that. Yeah, this tour, oh my god, in a way Berlin kicked my ass, kicked our asses, because my mom was on tour with me. Wow. The city is changing so much, and I don't know. I heard one time someone say something about like every 7 years that there's like significant change. And when I first went to Berlin was 2015. And, of course, so much has changed given the pandemic and everything. But on top of that, just the way that things go, it's been really interesting and fascinating to see this city change. It's still got its charm, of course. But there were just certain things this summer, like the public transportation. Like there was this fantastic €9 pass that saved us so much money. RIP the 9 euro pass. But I don't know. Sometimes I would leave to go somewhere and then just be like completely blocked. The trains wouldn't be running, the U-Bahn just wouldn't be running, the S-Bahn, there was something happening. So there's of course lots of construction going on before the winter and lots of stuff, but it felt hectic. And also with the housing crisis too, like everything, it seems like if you were able to kind of slip your foot in the door before now, that it was a little bit easier to get settled in Berlin. And now it seems like you can do it, especially if you know people, but that's anywhere. But yeah, it used to feel like I used to feel like my money or like my shit went a longer way in Berlin, a farther way. Um like my Booker Fina says, just got to make more money. but no, but I love Berlin. It's one of my homes. It's so special to me. And yeah, the tour ending and focusing on coming back here, it was like, wow, I am so exhausted. I'm so ready. Because I also, last year around this time, I flew back. My mom and I flew back. It was like mid-September. And I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know exactly where we were going to live. I didn't know what was going on with my health. I just knew that I wasn't going to try the artist hustle anymore and that I was going to fully dedicate myself to my health and trying to get better. And yeah, now looking back at the year, it's like, wow. It's so wild how you can be in a certain place and then a little bit of time passes and you're in a different place. Usually when I come back to the States after traveling, after being away, I don't feel good. And this time coming back from Berlin, I was ready. I was like actually craving being home, being in my bed. I think it's because it's the first time in probably like 16 years or something like that that I've really felt like I've had a home. And so that's been really special and amazing. The feeling of having a home. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm just rambling and shit. It's definitely the jet lag, partially. But also I'm a bit out of the swing of the podcast. Thank you for allowing. I mean, I know I'm running the show, but thank you for being cool about me taking some time this summer. I realized the tour is just there isn't enough time to do the podcast and the tour. And not only time, it's like vocal energy too. I don't know if you know anything about nodes, but I have vocal nodes and it means it like makes it a little bit harder to sing and yeah, it's just like not the best situation for the voice. So I try to be really careful and have really good vocal health. And part of that means abstaining from like talking, like vocal rest. So I was like, damn, I can't do the podcast if I have a show in a day or two because that's like an hour of just straight vocal energy. So yeah, I really learned so much about like, I'm constantly learning more about how to take care of myself. And I realized that tour, even if it is like one show a week, you can take care of yourself and you can maintain care, but you can't heal. Like there isn't time to heal or restore. And so now I'm so grateful I get to be back here. Excuse me, I get to restore and recenter. I feel like everyone's like going back to school or going back to work, getting into the swing of things. And I'm like, okay, you need to take some time, adjust from jet lag, reflect on the tour, just rest and restore. And so that is what I'm doing. and it feels good. So thank you again. I'm really happy to be back in the habit of doing these every week. And I hope you had a great summer and were able to check out some of the performance videos. And yeah, we're trying to get the touring going in the States slowly but surely. And on the 20th, I have surgery, and I'm so excited. It took calling every day this week because they were like coming back from vacation and they were just like overwhelmed. But I was like, I'm getting this surgery appointment in. Damn it. Like, not suffering every single day and then not being able to make an appointment. So I was persistent, got my surgery date, and I'm pumped. Who knows if it'll make me feel better? Who knows if I'll have to have another surgery? But I'm so excited. Something's going to happen this month. So after 1 year of trying to heal and just like more medication, it's like, oh, this is great. This is really exciting. So enough of my babbling. Hope you enjoy this split episode. And yeah, good luck with everything that you're doing, whether you're going back to school or getting back in the swing of work or just, I don't know, the fall brings like change, shift, pumpkin season. I don't know. So next time you hear me, I'll be much more well rested, and have a good week. Ciao.
I've been in low power mode. In low power mode. Been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear. I've been in low. I've been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear.